Yeah, I got that. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, guys, we're gonna start now. Thank you so much for coming. Last minute things. I put some chairs out, so please help yourself. If you're gonna be doing the workshop, be mindful and let if you're not using, if you're taking space on the desk, please let the people who are actually gonna be doing the workshop, use the other table. And yeah, I'll appreciate it. And with that, let's get started. So. Happy New Year, happy 2025, and welcome to the first joint meetup of the year. So my name is Marco Palacios. I'm the president and co-founder of Pacific Hackers Association. Before we start, we have some rules, and we have basically no asshole rule here. Respect everybody. We're a community. We're a family. So again, we don't do discrimination, any of that. So. Keep comments to yourself and respect everybody, okay? And in case you didn't know who we are, if this is your first time, welcome. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we're in the mission of fixing a lot of the things, or few of the things of the cybersecurity field. Number one, diversity, others, the location, and the placement, right? We need to get more women and more people of color in this field, okay? We have monthly meetups. So you send out to Pacific Hackers, meetup.com/Pacific Hackers. We have a lot of events, and next week we're gonna have two. January 22nd, we're gonna have another workshop next Wednesday, and on the 25th we're gonna have a CTF walkthrough. So if you're into CTFs, join us. If you would like to speak to one of our meetups, we're gonna start doing meetups in San Francisco and also in East Bay. Hopefully this year. So again, there's going to be opportunities for you to speak, and we always do collaboration. So again, today is a joint meetup with OWASP, and we also do with another, clubs and stuff. And in case you didn't know, we're going to have 3 conferences this year. So our next conference, and I know it's a year from now, but it's going to be the Pacific Hackers Conference. It's going to be the 6-year anniversary on November 1st. We're still looking for a place. We've been doing it here at Hacker Loyal, but this last year we outgrown, and now we need a bigger place. So I'll keep you guys in mind. For next week, there's gonna be a raffle for a Raspberry Pi 5 kit. So if you're interested, sign up for the meetup. We'll love to have you here. Also, we're expanding to South Cal. So we're gonna have our first LA conference in March. And that will be March 6th and 7th. So it's not fully ours. It's part of the scale. So SoCal scale, and we're gonna be providing the security aspect of it. Also, CactusCon. We're gonna be in CactusCon in February as well. So our CEO Jen and myself, we're gonna speak there. So yeah, keep that in mind. If you're gonna be there, please let your people know. Friends know that we're going to be in Arizona. Also, Hack the Bay 2025. It's going to happen again. So last year, you didn't know the story. We tried to do something on the Monday between this side San Francisco and RSA. And last year, we decided to do something, and it was just going to be 100 people gathering. Well, guess what? 500 people show up. And we couldn't fit them where we were. So this year we decided to actually rent a place, and it's gonna go get bigger. So we're gonna open the CFP in the next few days. So if you're interested in speaking there or providing a workshop or something like that, please help us out. And today, aside from the OWASP, I'm gonna invite someone that you might recognize if you go to DEF CON. He runs the Data Duplication Village, and he's part of the DC408 group. So Greg, come over and tell us about DC408 and the official DEF CON group. Because you guys do a lot and don't get the recognition. So come on over.
Thanks, Margo. So I'm Scott, aka Night Owl. Really, the DC408 group is the DEF CON group. So I don't know if, how many of you are familiar with DEF CON group? Okay, about a quarter of you, maybe a little less. So a DEF CON group is a group of people that typically go to DEF CON, organized by area code. So DC 408 is the local DEF CON group. There's also 0, 5, etc. But DC 408's normal meeting time is the third Thursday of every month tonight. So we're coordinating with OWASP and PACAC to connect together. So there's some DC 408 people here as well. So if you have any questions about DC 408, the participation rules, DEF CON, by all means, reach out.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And thank you. And we always like to thank our sponsors. So HackerLoy has always been our home, and we thank them for hosting us tonight. If you don't know what HackerLoy is, it's a makerspace, a hackerspace. Obviously, you can see it. There's an electronics lab. There is a laser room. We're in the process of expanding as well. And yeah, in case you didn't know, Pinterest started here. So again, this is where people meet and collaborate and build new things. Okay. Pinterest is just one of them. There's other startups that started here. And also, we want to thank the sponsor tonight, Sentinels. Thank you for the food. Thank you for providing the workshop. This is going to be awesome. And to all our sponsors, we cannot do it without you guys. So thank you. And again, we always are looking for help. And it's not about money. It's about spreading the word, sending us referrals, connecting to hiring managers. If you're hiring, let us know. If you want to share your knowledge, sign up for the CFP. We're always looking for speakers. Or your company can sponsor, let us know. And yeah. And if you are interested in joining our community, we have a community on Discord. So join us on Discord, and just for the sake of time, I'm going to skip it. You can always contact us. It's also on the website. Okay. And if you want to get a hold of me, my email is there. I'm very active on LinkedIn, but you can always find me everywhere. And with that, I want to thank all of you for coming up tonight, supporting us. And I'm going to pass it on to Prashant so he can talk more about OWASP.
Hello everyone, good evening. My name is Prashant. I am part of the OWASP Radio chapter. So first of all, thank you very much for coming here. Code of conduct. We just request that please don't make anybody uncomfortable here. This is your event. Just be nice to everyone. I mean, we're here to all learn together and grow together. So just be nice. If somebody is making you uncomfortable, please reach out to me or Marcos. We'll try to speak to that person and see how it goes. These are our other core chapter leads. I don't think anybody is here today. So again, if you, we are always looking for good speakers and companies, organizations who want to host. So if you think that if your organization wants to host a meetup, then please reach out to me. Or if you have some cool talk to give, then please reach out to me again. Thank you. Yeah, these are our social media handles. Probably, I mean, we are most active on meetup.com. All our meetups are published on Meetup. If you record any meetup, record any talks, we usually publish on YouTube. That's the handle is OWASP Hacker Thursday. And again, thank you very much, App Sentinel, Puneet and Mahesh are here. They basically sponsored this event and basically generously agreed to give this workshop. So thank you very much, App Sentinel. And I would like to, and again, if your company want to host an event like this, please let us know. We are always looking for newer ways. So without much ado, I would like to invite Mahesh from App Sentinel to start the workshop.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. You cover? I need to connect it. Yes, I'll give it. Okay. Thank you. And the microphone is here, so.
All right, so I received multiple emails and I've sent across some scripts, 2 scripts and some environmental information. Have you guys received it? And if yes, will you please import them in your postman? I've sent some SMS as well as some emails. So email has the script and environmental variables on Postman. We'll use Postman for the actual workshop and we'll follow a slide to go through the process. So before we get started, just a quick introduction. I'm Mahesh Gupta. Almost 30 years in technology side. 25 years I've been with Cisco. The best part of my job has been information security and doing business around security. I've done various roles in Cisco on business, channel strategy, product management, and part of leadership team at App Sentinels. Puneet, who's sitting behind, he is the founder and CEO of App Sentinels. And we are proud to say that we have a unique solution around API security, which covers the entire life cycle of API security from development to runtime protection. We do have some 3 unique differentiation compared to any other API security vendor in the market. How many of you are dealing with API security challenges? Some of them we are going to deal with today, part of API top 10 issues, what exploits are there. I had only 1 hand raised here. Nobody else is dealing with API security challenges? 2 hands, oh, well, 3 hands. Little shy, I know you don't want to tell you have issue. That's the security world. That's fair, thank you. So APIs are the new gateways for our applications, right? Now APIs have various flaws and they've been well documented and articulated in OWASP API top 10, which we'll experience today. Before we get into the workshop, what we do at App Sentinels is something unique as we provide a discovery, we provide continuous runtime testing, we provide protection in the runtime environment, and then we also provide the remediation workflows. So as a platform for API security, we are unique in 3 ways I was saying. One is we do business logic security for APIs or application in totality, not a single API at a time. Number 2 is we provide as an army of bug bounty hunters are working for you or a pen testers are working for you, we automate the whole testing process of the APIs in the development environment. We are very unique in that we don't do 1 API at a time. We do the entire context of the application together for the testing and we generate thousands of test cases together. And number 3 differentiation is we bridge the gap between runtime security and the development environment security with transfer learning from production environment. what test cases are not covered in your test scenarios. We provide that intelligence into testing situation and we generate thousands of test cases. So these are three unique differentiations. Obviously, we'll cover right now in the workshop about the OWASP API top 10 attacks, and we'll go through them. Before I get started, any questions for me? Please. If you can give that email ID to Puneet, we'll forward to you. He's sitting on the back. Yeah, or you can message me on, actually, why don't you give it to Puneet? He will mail it to you. Thank you. All right, so. IP address of the juice shop application is this. This is where you would have the app hosted and you can log in. So what is the username? User 1 to 30 or 35, I've created the usernames. And password is password. We're keeping it simple. You can log in randomly. It doesn't matter if there are one user logged in with the same ID. Just log in with a random name. And password is password. We are experiencing some hacking here, so should be good. Should be fun. With the email ID, Puneet will forward you the scripts and the runtime environment variables which are required in the Postman. We have set up some of these variables to make it simple for you to experience this testing. Otherwise, it will take some effort for you to build those variables. And with those variables, I'll show some magic. Things will happen much faster. That's the objective of those scripts and variables, just to do things faster. I can see some folks coming up with the juice shop application already. Now, what's the first OWASP API top 10 attack? It's on my screen. BOLA, right? What does BOLA mean? Can somebody explain? It's not a quiz. It's just on the screen if somebody can explain. Business object level authorization. Is it getting hidden? Oh my God. So how do I? Is it better? I think this is better. The bar. You have to drag that bar down. Oh, okay, perfect. This is better, I think. Perfect. Thank you. So, what does BOLA mean in reality from an attack perspective? It's okay, even if you're not able to log in, it will be good. You can try with it later. We can keep the environment on for 20 to 48 hours before we tear it down, and you can try at home if you're not able to log in right now. So, anyone wants to explain what does BOLA mean? Please go ahead. We're all learning, so there is no shame in I just learned. I've been network guy primarily, I would say, until October of the last year when I moved out of Cisco and joined Puneet, was been on to it for a long time. So I've learned in 2 months back on my hands-on from Cisco days, which used to be very different role. So go ahead.
Somehow mistakenly allow the external user to log in as an issue because the internal user might have access to much more features and abilities in the application. So that could be one way that is complicated. And it is sending a request. It is giving an access to an external user that's not of an internal.
It is true in BOLA 8 as well as it is true in business function level authorization, which you just explained. So BOLA is an object access authorization issue, which could be an external user, and one external user to another external user. And what you just explained, in addition, it can also be a business function level when an admin functionality a normal user is able to access. So you're right. But at the same time, Vola can more fine tune, more specific to more external users are able to access data. So what we're going to experience here is you're going to log in and you're going to get your user ID information and you will access other users' ID. So user ID in this case, I can show it live. Would that be okay on the screen there? And you can try with it later. Oh, perfect. Okay. So I'll switch to my Postman instance. And we're going to try two things here. We will log in as one user. We'll access other users' user ID. And we will have a basket ID information. We can try to access other users' basket ID also. All right, so here is my Postman instance. I'm getting this request, but it's not allowing me to approve. So for now, I'll just deny them or I'll just close them. Thank you for trying. I tried. That's why I was sitting in the corner there, trying to make it work. Okay. So I'm going to the user login. And what is the Postman environment? If you're not used to it, I'll just explain what we have set up here. There are some scripts which you got here. That's the one which I've shared. And there is a body of information which we are sending. The information which goes on a browser in a username password section, we are sending in different format through Postman, which is a tool used by developers typically. Now, in this case, I'm sending user 1. I'm up to user 30. So maybe I'll go up to user 34 and try to log in and see if it works for me. All right. So when user request comes as 200 OK, which means it's a login successful. Outcome of that login successful, I've received a token. This is my token. Now, how do you validate this token? That this is a genuine token. There are websites which I've shared. And when you go to this jwt.io and you can paste your token here, it tells you who you are. This is your encrypted password. And it tells me my token ID is valid for how long. It gives you some information about the token. Is this the first time you're seeing it like this, or you guys have seen it? So token information, which is there in the browser, you can copy paste from the browser. If you go into inspect mode on the browser, also you can see your token. You can pick up the token, put it in jwt.io. It'll tell you information about your token. Are we good so far? Perfect. Now I'm getting into next part of the juice shop. Now I'm going to validate, or in this, there is one more information I want to show you is BID. BID is nothing but the basket ID. So juice shop is a retail type of application. You can add products in a basket and you will be able to access somebody else's basket. Funny, right? So on the request, if you put the BID information, you would need the ID information. And you'll be able to put that somebody else's ID because it is not being coded properly by the developers and it's not been tested properly to fix those issues. Okay, so I've just logged in so far with the username password. I've gotten a token. I picked up the token and checked the token detail about the token. Are we good so far? Perfect. Now I'm getting into to see again, who am I? There are some variables you have set. I don't have to set up those information again. And I will just say send. I'm just sending a GET request on the juice shop ID for the IP address given. And I'm going to send who am I? And it shows me here, I'm a user number 34. I can change to any user. It's so quick and easy for me. Let's say I change it to 35 for now. Now login as user 35 because I now created 35 users. I got the new token. And if I go and click on who am I, it shows me user 35. ID is 55 for me. And that's my user ID. It's so quick and simple on a Postman app. Now, I'm going to add to the basket. So we need to add some products and we need to add some quantity. Oops. Oh, perfect. So in the script, we have set up some variables. It will automatically put up some random products and add that quantity in your basket so that we can do a basket check. I'm adding in some products in the basket. Now, should I be allowed to see how many users are there in my application? In total, all the users, should I be allowed to see? I should not be allowed to see. Should I try that? Let's see. So this is a API/users GET request I'm going to send. And let's see what comes out from there. Okay, so it shows me all the users in this app. So you want to try against some area, you need to know the API information because Juice Shop is a API which is sharing the thing. You can see which API is being called in your browser inspect window. Inspect window will tell you information about what is the body request going into the app and what is the response coming back. From there, you can learn about API and you can send requests on your Postman app. Right? So I've got an information from the Juice Shop about how many users are there. Now let me see some random user ID here, 36. And I'm going to get access to the basket ID. Let's say I put 6 here. Wow, it shows me my basket ID was which one? My basket ID for this user was 15. But I'm getting the basket ID information for basket number, basket ID 6. It's that simple. For a different user basket ID, because the basket ID information, before sharing the basket ID information, developer should have checked, is it my basket ID information I'm requesting or is it somebody else's basket ID information I'm requesting? Got it, right? It's an authorization issue. Everybody clear on Bola? Enjoying it so far? Fantastic. Okay, let's move to the next one. Broken user authentication. So in this, obviously, we log in and observe token response. And actually, yeah, we'll try this one. So we will play with the token information. We'll change the token a little bit. We'll modify the token this time. Have you guys ever tried modifying a token? It's a random set of words. And we'll try the change of token this time and see what happens. So before that, let me go to the browser and log into the app, UShop app, and I log in as logout, login, user 35@js.com, password, login. Now, I'm a normal user. I'm seeing the basic information. I don't have any inventory information here. Accounting information, people with accounting role get inventory tab also here. And we'll try and see if we can change the user role to accounting role just by modifying the token and see if I get a different screen or different window. So we'll change the algorithm to none. We'll replay the token in the postman. We'll observe unauthenticated access. And to change the token, there is a website I've shared in the email. You can go to that website, paste your token, change the parameters. There are a few parameters you can change. You can't change every parameter. And you can change the role. So let's see that in action. So I will go to the postman. Let's close this. Authentication issue. So let me log in again. I logged in. Let me log in as user 1 itself. So I'm logging in. I got a new token. My basket ID is 6. My user ID is user1@js.com. Who am I? I'm verifying. It shows me my user ID. And my role. I can see. Let me change my quantity first. As a user, should I be allowed to change quantity? Let me show the user list. User 1 was where. I'll show you that first. User 1, user 5 is here. User 3, user 2, user 1 is here. Is a customer here. It's a normal customer user. Now, as a customer user, I should not be allowed to change quantity information in the app. I'll try and make a change in the quantity on the app. And for that, I need a accounting role also. So let me first create a user with accounting role. I'll register a user. So I have a script for that and I'll do it live. Let's see here. In the user list, any user with accounting, Control A, Control C. I'll just check out in the browser. I'll just paste them in a document. And I will, oops, it's copying everything. Let me copy this. Okay, so I see a user with accounting role. It's an accountant. Next one is accounting role is user 9 is accounting role. I will log in as user 9 on the browser to see how many quantities are there. I will log out, log in, user9@js.com, password. Now here, you see, I see an extra tab here, accounting, because my role is accounting this time. I'm seeing an extra tab. And I log in here to see how many quantities are there. So the apple juice is the first product with 5,000 quantity in this shop. So let's go to Postman. I will log in as user 1. I already logged in as user 1. I'll log in again. I'm a normal user, user 1, no accounting authorization here. I will validate who am I again. It shows me who am I. I will try and do quantity change here. Will I be allowed? Let me try to make it 10,000 instead of 5,000. It's not allowed. It's forbidden in the application. Why? Because my role is user role. But I will play with the token now and see if I can change it. So I will take this token. I will go to the browser. This is the link I've shared with you guys. Paste the token on the top section here. This is a token which is where we used to log in. I'm going to set the encryption to 0 instead of RS to 56. And I'm going to change the role here. Instead of customer, I'll change it to accounting. And I'm going to use, this is a new encoded token. I'm going to pick up this token and go back to Postman. In this, there is a variable in the header. I will change the new token. So instead of using the token which is there for the user, which is done to log in, I'm providing a new token in the request, which is a modified token. Now I'll make a change for the quantity 10,000 and it's successful. What did we do? Somebody wants to explain? What did we do? Please start.
Like that, modified the posting content and the conservative verified the hash if it was changed. So it didn't have that additional layer of verification, it just changed the value right on the server.
Exactly. So we could use the user token, change the token, and verification of the token was not there. Now let's validate if the quantity is really changed on the app. Let me log into the browser. And here we have quantity information. I'll refresh it. It's 10,000. Are we good so far? So we're seeing authentication level issues when tokens are not managed properly, how severe it can be for an organization. But I'm logged into the app with a role and accounting access to show accounting displayed on the screen. So logged in on the shop app and user 9 and accountant has access to the Yes. So let me explain it. User 1 whose authorization I changed to have from user to accounting information, modify the quantity. So let's say you are an accountant, I'm a user. As an accountant, your job is to update the inventory information on the app. Yes. Right. Yes. As user 9. User 9 is accountant. I'll show you here. So this user who has access to this page is user 9. User 9 is an accountant by role in the organization, a juice shop. But at the same time, user 1, who is a customer from outside, is able to change the quantity information in the account, in the inventory. User 1 login is user 1. But you want to explain, please?
Yeah, I understand correctly. The job is changed to add the accountant role to user 1. Or user 1 session. So user 1 on the app have to then not actually check to see if user one is actually an account.
Exactly, yes.
And just assumes that the information.
Token
in the
is
job
correct
correct.
information and they have the right.
So isn't that really?
Exactly, that's what we are showing here.
So it's making an assumption.
The token is
Right.
correct, yeah. Token is
It's
giving
not
the right
checking.
information and based on the token authorization,
So that was an RSA 256, right? So it's using, it should have. actually checked the
I
certificate.
removed the encryption,
It's 509 certificate.
I changed the role and I used the modified token, which changed the role as a content role for a user. And I passed that information of the user depicting as a content and modifying the inventory.
It should not have allowed.
It should not have, I showed that in the first slide.
It should not have allowed login, because it's a QA attack that we are doing, so. Who attack means the token is not valid, and if token is not valid, the application rejects, the API, it should not have allowed.
But the token is not valid because it
Exactly.
wasn't
Yes.
signed with the
You're
direct
changing
text
the
509.
signing.
Sure, yes.
The signing protocol of the token. Any token validation should have detected it, and API should have been detected, but it's not yet detected. This is a type of a GUA attack, broken user authentication attack, where the token is not reliable. Somebody can come change the account to null or something else. I mean, in this case, what Mahesh showed is that somebody can actually claim additional roles which is not allowed to. But since authentication is missing, the APIs are not testing and it's allowing these operations to happen. I think
Yes,
after the other user one.
right.
Then you just change the payload, right? You change the signing protocol of that.
So this was the original token. I'll show it like this. So I'm copying this token, which is the original token. I'm going to JWT.
Can you share the, so I don't think you're sharing the screen.
Oh, okay.
We can share.
Share.
Yeah.
Desktop.
Because they were sharing before now.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Now, you're good
Okay.
to go.
So I'm going to copy this token, which is the original token. Copy. You see here in this, it shows user one. And what's the role of the user one? Right, so this is the correct token. Now I'm going to pick up the modified token. This is the modified token. Going to go to this same place. Now you see user role is changed.
So the token is tampered and the application has not detected that tampering.
For the same user. I could change my role myself and manage and change the quantity with the new role. The authentication should not have happened. I should not have been allowed to log in. All right, let's move to the third one. Broken object property level information. Okay. So in this, we'll try and access the basket ID. Will check out a order. We'll place an order and we'll see if somebody else is able to access that order. So my plan originally was that you log in as one user and then you log in as another user and then you check other users' basket ID. But since I'm logging in myself, I'll log in as one user, place an order, log out, log in as another user and check that order status. Okay. So I'll go to Postman. Let me check first, who am I? I'm user one. As user one, I will check out first. So there is a before I check out, I need to add my credit card information and my address. And then I'll be able to check out. But let me add some products to the basket with an API. I will add some, oops, because my token is not valid, it's not allowing me to add. Who am I? I will add some products to the basket. And now I'll try and do a checkout. By adding my, first I will add my credit card number. It randomly allocates a credit card number. User 1. And order history. Able to get this order ID. I will add first a credit card. Okay, I've added a credit card for this user. I will add the shipping address. All right, so I've added the shipping address. Now I will try and do a checkout. Okay, so I've got a new order ID as user 1. I will save this in my WordPad. Now let me log in with the new user. I will log in as user 10. I will add a credit card. I will add a shipping address. I will add some products in the basket. And I will do a checkout now. All right, I'm able to check out. So I have 2 users with 2 order IDs. These are 2 different order IDs. Now, as a user, this was user 1, and this is user 10. I will take this user 1 order ID and see if user 10 can access. Track order, and in the order confirmation, this is user 10 order ID by default in the variable. I will change it to user 1 order ID, which is captured on this year, 2221. I'm changing the variable to this order ID and send. There you go. It shows me the user 1 order ID instead of user 10 order ID.
But user 1 can see user 10's.
Cart information.
There's that, oh, that's what we're trying to do?
Yeah. What has been ordered by user 1, user 10 is able to track that order and see that order. And let's maybe check reverse. If user 1 is able to see user 10 order, which they have checked out. So I'll log in as user 10, user 1 now. And I will go back to track order. And in the order information, here I have user 1 order information. I will put user 10 order information. And send that. Yep. So you're able to see that's a order which was placed by user 1. You want to validate that which user's order is, you will have user ID information somewhere. It shows ID as 10, quantity as 1. You see user 1, user 10 actually, user 10, but user 1 is seeing it. That's user 10 order. Everybody with me? Are we good? So we have seen 3 attacks so far, or 3 vulnerabilities so far in action. The first one was the authorization. Number 2 was authentication. And number 3 was property that you are able to track somebody else's information. You're able to see somebody else's order. Right? Now let's move forward. Here we're talking about business function level authorization, what she was explaining earlier. What is a function? If a user who's a normal user is able to access information of an admin function or an accounting function. We saw that a little bit earlier when we modified the quantity. That was also an example of function level authorization issue we saw in the context of login token change. But we'll see in general, if the application is not coded properly, I should not be able to see list of all the users. Right? So we'll go and see here, if I'm able to see list of users or all the quantities in my environment. So list of users. Who this user, who am I logged in? I'm actually a user as a normal user. I will show it here. Who am I? I'm a user 1. User 1 is a normal user. User 1 does not have any special privilege. But he's able to see all the users in your environment, which is an admin function. So it's a business function level authorization issue. This API, which is API/users, should not be allowing a common user, which is a customer profile, to be able to log in and see all the users in the environment. Right? So here we are able to see list of all the users in the environment. Any questions so far? Is it too much? Making sense? And I was quite excited when I learned about this. It's so simple. I was so scared. Am I placing an order? Is somebody intercepting my request? But Postman made it possible for me to learn. I'm sure you can also learn with Postman. Try playing with this Juice Shop app. It's pretty crazy. It's exciting, but it's a good playground for you to learn.
In fact, there's a very famous instance of BFLA attack, the function level authorization attack, on one of the famous ride-hailing app. The vulnerability was, so when you open the app, right, you will see the balance in your account, which used to be a GET API. When I log in or when somebody opens that app, an API will be made. That API is going to fetch the account balance, which you will show in your application. It should not allow that balance to be updated by any other method. Now, what the hacker did is, now we know that GET API fetches the information. So that was actually a GET API to retrieve the account balance. The hacker simply changed the method. He changed from GET to PUT. And the ride-hailing app had no idea that how come there's a person who is enjoying free rides for almost like a couple of quarters till that company figured out what's going on. They had an API flaw. Somebody is just changing the method from GET to POST. GET used to retrieve the account method, so fairly, fair the right functionality. It's just changing the GET to POST. It should not have been allowed to be called by this user, and it was going and changing the account balance in the database. And now this guy had like infinite money in his account balance and he's enjoying the free rides. So this is an example of the broken function level authorization attack. Yeah. Easy,
And
right?
this is how simple it is to change the method on the postman. Just drop down, change the method from get to post and send the data.
I think I also remember one, if you go back to Mahesh, the BOPLA, broken object property level authorization. So another famous issue with BOPLA. Now, in most of the applications, you have objects and objects may have certain members inside, right? You may have something like a user and then username, passwords, and there would be multiple fields. There's a very big bank which pays the music for not handling proper validation at the object level. What happened is a hacker figured out that he's seeing 4 parameters of an object, but there exists one more parameter of that object. He figured that out through some mechanism, and he used and introduced, he basically called a post API and he introduced that parameter. The name of that parameter was is admin equal to true. That's the only thing he did. And he actually gained the administrative access to that machine by just introducing a new parameter in the API, which was not supposed to be. Even if that parameter comes, the input validation in the API should have rejected it, but there was no check. And it's not a small bank. It's the Capital One bank which got breached and faced the big music for this simple, I would call it developer mistake. This is the BOPLA attack, the broken object level, object property level authorization.
Yeah.
So that's possible because you would see this token in your phone, right? And then if you tap the network traffic of your phone, you would be able to figure out.
Inspect mode on your browser will show that to you. Token.
That's super easy. No, you can just copy the token and you can call those APIs without any sort of controls.
The server would not know if the request is coming from a tool or a client. You need to have checks.
I have personally done some of these things like run Wireshark. Somebody would be sitting on a shared network. You can really capture the token and use that token in your web access or API access, and you would be able to do so. I have personally done this for Yahoo Mail, where some of my friends were getting were not seeing how their emails are being read by somebody else. So I used to read their emails long back.
All right, shall we move forward? Thank you, Puneet. So we are halfway through. Unrestricted access to business flaws. Yeah, I'll do that. So we'll do something more interesting this time. So we'll get the user feedback. We'll try, so first we'll see how many feedbacks are there. We'll post some feedback and we'll try the feedback submitted by other users. So we are able to access the information, which is somebody else's information. One user, as a user, you give feedback on a portal, and now as another user, I will go and change that feedback, modify that feedback, and delete that feedback because the site is not controlling who's able to delete that feedback. Okay. Let me see how many feedbacks are there right now. So it shows me some feedback information. Let me pick up the last one. It's 25 number feedback and it's from user 1. Right, so I will log in as user 10 then, or any random number. A user 35 will log in. And now I've logged in. Let me check who's the user I'm user 35. And I will try and delete the feedback number 25, which is from user 1. So /API feedback, and I will change it to 21. Message not found. Post feedback from captcha. Okay, sorry, I'll have to change a little bit here. The workspace, a variable which I had added, which is not there in the environment. Get captcha. I'll have to log in here. User login, I logged in as user 1, but let me log in as user 10 or user 35. I logged in as user 35. I will validate that with who am I. And now I will get the captcha first because application checks the captcha environment variables. So with that, I've gotten this captcha which gets stored in the environmental variables automatically. And because I have this, I'll be able to post a feedback also. Let me see if I'm able to delete first. 21. No, it's not found. Message not found. I'm getting a message. Let me see all feedback first. Oh, okay. Feedback ID 24, 25, 22, 20. Oh, 21 is not there. That's why it says message not found. 21 is already deleted by somebody. So I will try and delete 25 this time, which is from different user. I will delete 25. Success. Now, when I check the feedbacks, 25, which is showing here, should not show next time when I'm searching and seeing all the feedbacks. It shows 24th as the last one, 23rd as the before one, 25th feedback is deleted. So a user is able to delete other users' feedback. Somebody wants to have, like you could be an enemy or a friend. If you're a friend, you will delete the bad feedback. If you're an enemy, you will delete the good feedback.
Charge.
Yeah, make money. Or submit a lot of good feedback because it doesn't check how many feedbacks you're submitting as well. You can keep submitting as many. That also you can see here that post feedback, I think it's facing some error. I'll have to fix some variables on this, which I don't want to waste time here, but let me try once more.
So this is the feedback API, the unrestricted resource access.
Yes. No, secure, getting access to sensitive business logic. So,
Sensitive data.
yeah, sensitive data.
So basically unrestricted access.
Unrestricted access.
It's a very interesting but a live example. I think it's super critical in these days because data is everything. Now this is a real life instance during the holiday season. When all the retail companies were on Super Drive. This is what our product actually found. We have a very large retail customer, and we saw that this attack is going on. Somebody is calling the review API and doing data scraping from the retail website. So what is
Not deleting, just reading.
just reading? Just reading.
It should
What
be
was-
okay, but when you do at scale, is it a problem? That's what Puneet is explaining.
And what was going on was that the hacker had automated this API. Suppose this retail site has say 100 products. The hacker was changing the product ID and trying to extract all the reviews that were getting posted for those products. Now, typically, so this is the data scraping, right? Because the API did not have the rate limit. A threat actor, a user, was able to sort of bombard and extract all the information from your application. Now, what's the side effect? What is the business loss to the organization? Any guess? Bandwidth, processing time, what else? Something even bigger?
Reputation?
Not exactly, because somebody is just scraping the data. I have products, I am selling products, people are buying those products, and they are genuinely submitting their feedback or reviews, but somebody else is just scraping and taking them out. Exactly.
Sales, what is it?
Exactly.
Oh,
So what was happening was, it was a competitor, which was extracting the review information for these products. Now, what would we do? He will train his own recommendation systems from somebody else's data and provide a better recommendation than the company which was actually owning the data. It's like theft of data model. It's a real life example where a company is able to scrape somebody's data, use that data to train their own models, and offer better recommendations and better experience to the customers who are coming and using that website.
And these days,
Competition.
It
these
is
days,
competition.
it's becoming more and more popular with
And
AI
this-
recommendation models.
This is again one of the very big issue we are seeing, especially after all of this AI and LLMs and the whole
Model theft.
model theft, data theft is really gaining a very different proportion now. Sounds interesting?
Okay, so let's move forward. Server-side request forgery. How do you demonstrate this? And you would say, okay, you need to run some commands and you need to see if that command is working on the server and if that command is being accessed, redirected from the server. So if server is being redirected to something, do something else, which it should not be. So we'll try and do with the profile access. So there is another site named postbin. What postbin does is you can initiate a instance on postbin and create a web instance for you temporarily and keep listening to that instance if some request comes to it to validate if our server is getting redirected to another server. For that, we're going to set up a listener first. And that is done free of cost, available tool, postbin, just to try. So we'll first set up a postbin instance. Oops, not GitHub. Where did the site go?
That'd be post bin instead of post bin.
Oh, sorry, yes, post bin. I'm sorry, thank you.
Post b.io.
Postbin.in.
Post b. You're still in search though. What's the-
No. Wow, it's not the one.
Maybe the Wi-Fi.
Postbin instance
Coming up for me.
coming up for you?
Yeah, but I'm not on the Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay, that could be the reason. Okay,
It's there, it's just for some reason, it's not pulling up it, HTTP,
yeah, yeah, maybe it's not allowed here. No, it's blocked for me. So what you can do here is, you can just start a instance. Init bin. And generates a link to me. Now this link, you can copy. This is an instance. If somebody tries to access this link, and now you log into your bootstrap application, bootstrap, go to your username, go to your profile. And in the profile image, you upload this link. So you sent it, that's it, right? Now we come back to the link, posting. This refresh it. See the request has come from this IP address, which is new shop IP address. So that shows the bootstrap server was redirected to this third-party site. What we did was we went to a user profile. In uploading the image, we give a link. I can have other commands also given there. And that is being redirected to the outside site, which should not be the case. So it's not checking that a redirection is happening from the server to another outside link. And because that link postbin was a sensor, was just checking how many requests are coming on that. It showed there was a request from the browser on this particular from this particular IP address, which is the DoShop IP address. So DoShop server sent a request to this temporary bin. Server side request forgery. So my server, DoShop server, sent a request to a third party bin. It should not be allowed.
I think all of you would be aware of cross-site scripting. Right? So SSRF is mostly the API equivalent of cross-site scripting, where you are passing a wrong URL to the servers. Servers have not implemented, or application have not implemented the right validations, and they are kind of trying to access that URL, and thereby they would end up executing code, or there could be other operations. Very similar to what you used to do in cross-site scripting. So it's an equivalent, and we all know that cross-site scripting is still one of the most prevalent web application problem, still exists even today, right? So the equivalent on API side is the SSRF.
Okay, I will come back to Postman and my security misconfiguration. So that's our second last. Yeah. So in this one, there is a directory structure on the server, which should not be exposed /FTP directory structure should not be exposed outside. But because of a misconfiguration, it is exposed outside. So you can try on the server /FTP, it will show up straight the files in that, or you can send a request through Postman or Postman.
I mean, this issue is not very specific to APIs, while it is part of the, OWASP API content. It is, I would say, more prevalent for web applications. And the same thing is, applicable on APIs, because APIs are also sort of, big brother of the web application. So the misconfigurations can come over here as well. You may have incorrect, say, configurations in the cookie settings or in any of the header settings. Or even the web server configurations could be wrong, allowing people to do things which it should not be. But in terms of the priority of this is 8 in the API code. It's not higher in the web code.
So I just went to the site, I did /FTP. It shows me the files in that structure, which should not be the case. It's not authenticated, it's unauthenticated API, it's a misconfiguration.
Of the application.
Yep. All right, so let's move to the second last one, improper asset management. This one is more about when you have multiple APIs and you don't have the version management of those APIs done properly. You're able to access old version of the API and a new version of APIs. Assets, APIs are not properly managed in the infrastructure. So we'll send a request on Postman. A request 200 code means it's able to access that.
It's also not just the version information, but you may have the same endpoint, but a method, which you don't want to actually expose, but unintentionally, even those methods are exposed. The ride-hailing app, right? You just have a get call, but if you don't specifically go and disable the post or the put call, and if a hacker is able to just change the method and see what's going on, right? So that's the example of improper asset management. Every API and every endpoint is an asset, right? The combination of the method and the endpoint is an asset. A change to the method should not, expose the API unintentionally.
So version 1, I'm able to access 200 OK, and version 2, I'm able to address again. So if there are vulnerabilities somebody had, you released a new code and you published it, that in old version your vulnerability and your old version is still accessible. You're inviting people to use old version and still come back. All right, we are kind of coming home now with the last one is unrestricted resource access. This one we moved, it's a number 4 one, and we moved it to the end because this can actually bring down the server. And this would mean that all the configuration in the juice shop may disappear. It depends on the mood of the server at that time. I've tried, sometime it crashes at 1,000 requests, sometime it crashes at 100. So I will try. If it doesn't crash, don't blame me for that. But that means that server does not have rate limiting on how many requests it should be getting or not getting. But in Postman, it's so simple that you can send as many requests. So let's see this. So get inventory quantity. If I'm sending this request once, it shows me all the inventory in the server. And this is API with some of the largest data. So I will go in the runner. I'll go into performance check of the application. And you could run it as a virtual 20 users. You could run it as a virtual 50 users. I think 100 is max. I will run it as a 50 user. Duration could be for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes. I will run it for, let's say, 5 minutes. And let me do it 100 users. I will do it for this folder. run. It's running that. It'll keep running it. And there's a chance on the back end server may just crash. But it's so simple for you to actually send thousands of requests to a particular site using Postman. All right, I think with this, we are done on the attack. We'll have Puneet share some of the controls which we have using App Sentinels as a platform, but this is optional to you if you want to attend and see how can we help protect that. And if you're interested in seeing that protection part and the platform which we have built to kind of save against these issues in test environment as well as in production environment. We have automated pen testing as well as runtime protection along with discovery. Over to you, Puneet. Okay. Next, please.
I think all of us understand that, the number one role of a security person is business enabler, right? We all are business enablers. And I would say it's to the credit of the team that the businesses must go on as usual or businesses go on as usual. Otherwise, hackers will not let the business go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share a couple of examples of API breaches. Not to scare anyone, but to use this as a form for all of us to be aware of the risk API attacks carry, why they are different, why they are unique, why this is something which I would say that world has not seen so far or has not realized the potential of the damages these attacks can cause. This example, this lady is Alisa Knight, famous white hat hacker. She picked up 55 banking applications. And guess what? She was able to change PIN numbers of debit cards. She was able to move money across accounts without the authorization of the users. It's not one application which was compromised. 55 banks had their own unique applications. And this lady was able to break into each of these via APIs. Right? This is the damage it can cause to the banking business. Coinbase is one of the world's largest crypto trading platform, right? One fine day, they said, we are stopping taking any new orders. And we are suspending the trading indefinitely. The reason was a white hat hacker reported to Coinbase that he is able to sell cryptos that he don't own, that he doesn't own on the platform. Now, if we go inside this issue, right, for a trading platform, one of the most fundamental business logic check is if a user doesn't own an asset, he should not be allowed to sell. That's the most fundamental business logic check. If I'm going to build a trading platform, that will be the first check. But using APIs, the hacker was able to bypass the core foundational business logic check. Now, all of us know that every application in the world is unique. There are no two applications in the world which are same, even if they are solving the same customer need. APIs that build up those applications are also unique. The attacks on API target the unique business logic of those APIs and application. They are very unique to the application or specific to the application. In security paradigm, we call them as zero-day attacks. These attacks are zero-day attacks on the application. what worked at Coinbase might not have worked at Binance or other crypto trading platforms. Okay. And this is very different compared to the traditional attacks, the generic attacks, right? I mean, if you look at all the web attacks, things like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, path traversals, LFI, RFIs, or you go a little deeper inside the protocol, HTTP smuggling-based attacks, they are common across applications. But API attacks are very, very specific to individual applications. This is the world's 4th largest cloud vendor. They had one API which was left unauthenticated. What it means is any customer of Oracle Cloud could call this API, can attach the storage volume, any storage volume to the virtual machine. I mean, if somebody has to assign a score, a CVSS score, it would possibly be more than 10 because it was actually the core foundational multi-tenancy business logic of trading platform was kind of thrown out of the air. There are up-team examples of API attacks, including all the big names. They themselves have faced breaches. And I'll talk about, all of you would be aware of when Department of Defense called up Microsoft and said, you guys need to fix something because a nation state is reading emails of some of our officials. Are you aware of that? Happened last year, where Satya Nadella had to kind of say that, yes, security is #1 priority for Microsoft. There was an API, which was the core fundamental in that specific attack. Using that API, the nation state was able to generate tokens for any tenants on Azure Cloud. The question here is, why are these issues happening? What's missing? What's wrong in the application security space? So if you look at the entire application security space, right, you see 2 categories. One is the shift left products, which you integrate with your CI/CD pipelines to do secure SDLC, right? Things like ZAST, DAST, IESD, software composition analysis products. And on the other side, you have the runtime protection products, web application firewalls, RASP technologies, and depending on the maturity of the organization, you will have bot protection or DDoS protection. What's wrong? All of these products are supposed to protect our applications. But the unfortunate and a very fundamental disconnect is these products don't care what is your application. They don't even care what business you are in. They offer same security if you are a bank. They offer same security if you are a tech company. They offer same security if you are a fintech or a healthcare. While if you go back to Coinbase example, what it tells us that API attacks are specific to the application's business logic. If I'm buying a security platform which doesn't even know what business I am in, it can offer no security to me. It cannot block API attacks. It's blind to API. So this is a fundamental problem and disconnect in the application security, which we in App Sentinels have fixed. So what our platform does is it builds a very deep white box level understanding of the application. What's happening inside the application? It follows a process. It starts with discovery of the APIs, understand how many APIs you have, what comes in, what goes in, what comes out, what sensitive data it has, because that's the start. You need to know your API landscape in order to protect it. You cannot protect what you don't know. Subsequently, it understands the session management aspects of your application, how tokens are issued, how tokens are refreshed, what's the typical life cycle of a user session.
What is the token, the modified one which we saw, the tokens have changed.
It may have discovered 1,000 APIs. We all know that not all APIs are same. Each API serves a purpose. The platform discovers context and intent of every single API. It understands that these are APIs responsible for certain account operation like sign in or even recovery of a lost password, right? It understands that there are APIs which are dealing with payments or dealing with some sort of a sensitive or privileged information about the users, right? So it understands and differentiates these APIs because these APIs require different security posture. Further, it understands how APIs are talking to each other, what information gets exchanged across these APIs. To build a business knowledge graph of the application. This represents the workflows, the user journeys that are implemented in the application, right? This is a very, very simple representation of a marketplace, but this shows how a marketplace functions. There's a login API. When a user calls a login API, a token is issued. Now, there are multiple actions a user can do. He can search products in your app, in marketplace. He can access his cart. He can access his profile, or he can browse his products. If he selects a product, he adds a product to a cart. He can decide to do a checkout. And at that time, he requires a cart ID, a valid cart ID to be passed. As part of the checkout workflow, payment methods or payment workflows are automatically invoked. The payment methods which are registered with the user are going to be fetched. And finally, one payment method out of this is going to be used to make a payment. So the platform builds a very deep understanding of how the application is functioning, what are the happy path scenarios that the application has. Now, what it can do with this, apart from discovery, now it can continuously pen test your APIs. And it can pen test how a bug bounty hunter or a pen tester. So it acts like an army of pen tester, continuously creating test cases which are specific to your application and bugs, find flaws. At the same time, it can now block attacks which are business logic attacks. Because it understands the right business logic of your application, it can block attacks which are not aligned, not right as per your application. So these are the four value propositions of our platform, as Mahesh mentioned, right? And as we have seen in the last 20, 25 years, in application security, you have products which are only doing testing or scanning, and you have products which are only runtime. They don't know what's happening in the other. Runtime products have no idea about what's happening at development side. The scanning products have no idea about what's happening at runtime. But what our product does it connects and breaks those silos. The first value proposition is continuous discovery of APIs and telling you the risk each API adds to your organization. A single API is enough for the breach. Microsoft Azure. It can continuously pen test your APIs like an army of pen testers or bug bounty hunters. When the code goes to production, it can now protect your applications against runtime attacks, known attacks, API abuses, etc. And last but not the least is remediation. And remediation is one of the very important pillars in application security space, because for remediation, you really have to target developers. You need to provide them evidences of the issue. You need to provide them mechanisms so that they can recreate the problem and validate it on their own side. You need to integrate with the workflows developers are using. And on the other side, it provides workflows for security operations team, because the SOC team members are supposed to protect and block attacks as there. So the product has workflows for both your security teams as well as your security operations team. Guys, can we open the demo here? Shall I bring that up? I'll take a couple of minutes and take you through the demo of the platform. All of you are now aware of the BOLA attack, the IDOR attack, broken object level authorization. Have you come across a tool which can automatically test your application and find BOLAs? So App Sentinel is one of those tools where we can actually test and find the BOLA attacks in the application, understanding it. Apologies, the network is bad here. There are some drops we see. So this is the dashboard, the landing dashboard of the platform, and this dashboard is completely RBAC controlled. Depending on what role you belong to, you would get your own customized dashboard. This is the dashboard which an executive or a CISO wants to see, because he wants to have complete view of the land. He wants to see everything across his organization, across his applications. Think of a bank, you would have multiple teams, multiple business units, retail banking, wealth management, card divisions, loan divisions, right? Each of the application owners should not be able to see what's happening in the other application, but a CISO and executive should be seeing everything. So that's the view it offers. You can see that there are 4 applications which have been onboarded. You can see how many unique APIs are discovered across all those applications. The platform will show you how many of these APIs are shadow APIs which are not documented, how many are sensitive APIs, how many are privileged APIs, how many are unauthenticated, how many are unused APIs, they were deployed, no more being used, should have been retired or deprecated. It will show you how many are public or internal APIs. It shows the risk of each API in the organization. It further shows the sensitive data, how your organization is consuming sensitive data. So out of 189 APIs, the platform has identified 97 unique sensitive data instances, and it shows what comes inside your organization, what leaves your organization, and then based on the risk profiles, how each of these API groups are handling the sensitive data. It also does scanning and identifies security vulnerabilities, governance issues, misconfigurations. So this is the API vulnerabilities that have been found. And then in the end, it shows different security incidents or events. These are the issues which are seen in the production environments, maybe attackers are trying, and then also shows the source behind the threat, the events or security incidents, how many unique threat actors are found and what these threat actors are doing. It allows the executive to go and do a deep dive, go inside a single application. So right now I'm going inside the ChooseStop application. In this particular dashboard, now this is the dashboard which is meant for an application security owner, right? I mean, a retail banking security guy should only see what is there in the retail banking. You should not be able to see what's in some other application. So this is the view of a single application where you can see the same APIs which are discovered now as part of this application, the various distribution characteristics about these APIs. It is showing what kind of sensitive data has been found in this application. It also shows how many APIs are called, how much content has been transferred, how much, how many errors have been seen both on the client and server side. It shows vulnerabilities that have been found in the application. What's the trend of these vulnerabilities? It shows the top vulnerabilities, what kind of problems are seen in your application code. What are the APIs with high number of vulnerabilities? So you can specifically target APIs with higher vulnerabilities, or you can target the vulnerabilities which are more common in your application and improve those. It also shows some sort of metrics about the severity distribution, the status distribution, and the age distribution, which tells us how your organization is sort of resolving these issues. Further, it provides insights about the production environment. So it is showing how many different threat actors are active, what these threat actors are doing. It does mapping of the threat actor activities via TTPs to MITRE tactics. So it shows what tactic these threat actors have been able to achieve, whether they are in initial stages of their attack or they are in some advanced stages of the attack. It shows geolocation as well as some threat intel findings. And in the end, it is showing you the security events, what unique security events are seen, what was outcome of these security events, how many were successful, how many were gracefully handled by the application. It provides insights to a security operations team so he can prioritize his act, right? I mean, instead of looking into security incidents which have been gracefully handled by the application, he can look into issues which are really causing some harm to your application. I can go on. I mean, a general A full-fledged demo takes more than an hour of the platform. So this is just the dashboard, the organization dashboard and the application dashboard. If any of you are interested in looking deeper, reach out to us. We'll be happy to take you through what this platform does. This platform is kind of deployed in some of the biggest names in the world, the largest, fourth largest bank, the largest payment gateway in the world, the second largest ID services company, one of the largest fashion retailer in the world, handling almost 50 billion API calls in a month. So it's a pretty mature platform. And as I said, right, the first key differentiation here is it understands the business logic of your application so that it can offer a tailored security to your application. It's not generic security. And then it has broken the silos that have been existing for so long, where shift-left products don't have any idea about runtime. Runtime products have no idea about shift-left. It's the same platform which does both. So with that, I will pause. There are questions we can take.
So since it doesn't do any mitigation of that.
Yeah, it can do mitigation as well. It will tell developers. So there are two types of mitigations or remediations. On one is it has to help developers so they can fix the problems. So that's one set of remediations that offers complete guidance to developers. And on the second side, when it comes to remediation in terms of blocking attacks, it can automatically block attacks. It doesn't need a human being to kind of tell what. There are recommendations which can say that this threat actor is quite advanced in its tactics, block it, and the platform can do blocking. Not just that blocking, it can actually do intelligent blocking, because you don't want to block somebody permanently. So what this product does, it blocks to slow the threat actor. You can configure the time, so it will block for that duration, and it will unblock the threat actor, but the history is maintained. Now, if the threat actor repeats any malicious activity again, he is again jailed. Oh yeah, absolutely. It connects. So we have all integrations of variety. On one side, there are traffic level integrations with load balancers, CDNs, WAFs, API gateways, Kubernetes. All major cloud application architectures are supported. You have a application in one cloud or hybrid or multi-cloud, everything is supported. We have integrations with ticketing systems. We have integrations with CI/CD pipelines with Jenkins. We have integrations with messaging systems. We also have integration with themes and source. And on top of it, we have APIs that you can use to build your own integration.
A question. So, how you're able to mitigate the incoming traffic? Right? Do you place this as an ingress in front of your application?
Yes, there are a variety of techniques that you use to deploy this product. Let me just show the architecture. So yeah, on your point, yes, there are. So this is the architecture. This is a 3-tier architecture. The bottom is what we call as App Sentinel sensors. There are traffic and traffic-less sensors. Many of these are traffic-based, but there are traffic-less sensors also, like you can upload your schemas, you can upload the hard files. But most of these are traffic-based. So, agent and agentless, you can do packet mirroring, or you can deploy eBPF. You can use Kubernetes. There are API gateway support, Nginx support, serverless support, variety of API management platform support. Or if none of this works, you have traditional deployments of inline mode and mirror mode. You can deploy these sensors in out of band or inline as you wish.
So, okay, sorry, we're using a bunch of ingresses. So one of them is Nginx.
Yes. Yeah.
Would this be a replacement Nginx deployment? Or would this be its own deployment versus Nginx?
It has a plugin for Nginx.
Oh, okay.
Or it has a plugin. So
So I would use the Nginx plugin.
You can use the Nginx plugin. Just load the plugin and you're done. In 5 to 10 minutes, you're done. And that same plugin allows you out of band functionality as well as inline functionality.
And how would it detect? Okay. How would it detect? So if I have another developer who created both APIs, so this thing consistently does automatic test scanning.
So it creates thousands of test cases, which are not generic, but very specific to your application purpose. This is like what a pen tester or a bug bounty hunter will do. If you call a vendor and ask them to do pen testing, that's exactly what.
They can only do so much in black box.
Exactly.
So how would they do that?
If you are paying for a pen testing service, or if you are running as a pen testing service, both ways, you can use the automation part of it. Not just do pen testing in your test environment, but also to do transfer learning from production for all the scenarios at the runtime.
Are you with us? Like, did we answer your question?
So, okay, last question, sorry guys.
No, it's okay,
So
it's okay.
let's just say you have multiple deployments in an environment.
Yes.
You have that, you have several namespaces and they're all scattered around. How would your application be able to clean those? You install another Kubernetes plugin?
So if you have Kubernetes, you have multiple methods to deployment. Let me pull out another slide over here. We support daemon set, we support sidecar deployments, which can actually, or you can do a north-south discovery, or you can actually deploy Kubernetes in a service mesh kind of an environment. So all of those are supported. Let me just show you over here. This is Kubernetes where you want to only do a north-south inspection. Here you can deploy a daemon set or you can deploy a sidecar sensors. This is a service mesh deployment where you can actually insert a sidecar next to all of your microservices. This is a daemon set where you can actually deploy an eBPF on the worker nodes. Okay, all is supported. Everything is covered.
There's got a lot of people like,
Yes. Any questions?
And if you want to see a kind of real POC in your environment,
Yeah.
you would reach out to us, we'll be happy to have a POC working in your environment, especially if you're doing manual pen testing. There is a way to automate the pen testing for your applications. And discovery is table stakes. Beyond discovery, automation of pen testing and runtime protection of not just the standard checks or signature-based checks. It's the day zero attacks prevention of things which are not typically covered.
So our platform has found issues like in one of a very large retailer. The shift left part of the platform found issues where a user comes in, he does certain operation and he fills in his card. But now there's another user who can actually see what's in their card, somebody else's card. And even worse, he can actually manipulate somebody else's card. These are like very advanced issues that the platform can automatically test and find. So when I explained the Coinbase, for all of you with me, how Coinbase attack was done, you want to like really understand what went behind. Coinbase had written a very nice detailed blog about the problem. So it was a very simple attack, but at the same time not so simple. Very simple changes to APIs. The interesting part here was that the hacker who was able to sell crypto that he was not owning actually had not one account in source in Coinbase, but two accounts. One account had cryptos, the other account had no cryptos. Now, when you do a workflow in application, there are chain of APIs which are generally involved, one after the other. So he started the same transaction on Coinbase, and at that time he selected the source account, which had some cryptos. And those APIs had the validation, right? You're trying to sell one Bitcoin and you have to find that. Move to the next step. So he passed the validation initial set of APIs, but then there was an API which was placing the order to the exchange, where this guy bypassed the UI layer. He went to the API layer and simply changed the source account number to the account which did not have. There was no validation in that API. The order was sent to the exchange, and the orders were successfully executed. And now the buyers would be expecting delivery of Coinbase end of the day, And Coinbase had no way to deliver those coins. And when Coinbase management got to know what the hell is going on, they decided to stop the trading. Whatever costs it came with. It's a prime example of Ebola effect. What Ebola can do to your application. One mistake, one miss from a verb is sufficient to wipe the entire business. This is why we say that APIs are actually exposing the world to a very new form of attacks, which we have not seen. Most of the time, we as security teams are busy with the infrastructure level problems, but the API landscape, the threat vector of APIs is enormous. The custom code that organizations have built for 20, 30 years is huge landscape compared to anything else. And all of that is getting exposed now. Good. So thank you all. If there are any questions, feel free to shoot. Yeah, Marco.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming up tonight and support us. Thank you again for sponsoring us. And again, we're gonna be here. Thank you. We're gonna be here next Wednesday, the 22nd, for another an amazing workshop. So come by and we'll hope to see you here. Thank you. Thank you.